Hello, everyone. I know that this was not announced, and so I just prepared this live 15 minutes ago because I had another live and because it's long overdue. And I'm a stranger of my own channels, right? I was not here for a long time, definitely not alive. I had a couple of videos, the last one, I think, 5 months ago, and then I just disappeared. Some of you might notice that I also highlighted Tech Leadership Lab on my channels, but some maybe needed a little bit more from me, and I totally agree. That's why I'm here, because this live will stay on the channels and you in your own pace will come here and will just know what's happening. So I open the comments. I know that there are not many people right now live on the LinkedIn, not on the LinkedIn, on the YouTube and the Facebook channel. And because I just had an awesome live before, I said it's time to come and announce my audience who doesn't know what it's happening and why I'm not here on my YouTube channel, especially more than before. So I started an amazing project last year called Tech Leadership Lab, and that basically became my legacy work and mission, because when it started, it was again not planned, like this video 15 minutes ago, but also it was planned for 2 decades, because I was always about impact and big impact. And even if I had projects that involved local people or regional people or country wise, it was just not my main passion. I always wanted to create something global. And for many years, as you know, also on this channel, everything that I've done on this channel and my mission and my work, my remote work for 15 years, it was just the preparation of getting to understand how world is today, getting connected to ecosystems, to different ethnicities, countries, creating a huge network of people from around the world in a way that I don't get caught in a bubble where I just consider that my truth is the only truth and this is what we should do, all of us. I wanted a unity, united kind of global alliance or family vibe where we can understand that we are one species, even if some don't show it as we are. Some don't like humanity as much. But from my perspective, it was that, okay, there are so many things we can do today together, united, and with the help of tech and with the help of the right leadership, that it's time to just do more. I was not satisfied with what I've done, in a way that, yes, it created impact, but not enough for my standards and my preparation and what I wanted to do. So what makes me happy and makes me motivated is to see that the impact I can create goes globally. I don't identify anymore as someone here in Romania or traveling wherever or living in another part of the world. I identify myself as a global citizen that is part of an interesting period where tech and existential threats collide in the same time, where we have global unity at one hand, and at another hand, we have a lot of division and hatred and segmentation for different reasons that are most unrational ones. And we still have a future ahead of us, and we have our children, we have the future generations, we have the good people who truly want to leave something behind, but who are stuck on what to do and based on whom, on whose leadership. I faced, and maybe you know that this is a long-term theme on my channels everywhere. I have so many quotes that are quoted today around social media, around leadership and how I consider leadership, and that the view is that if we would have the right type of quality leadership around the world and the right type of leaders, we wouldn't have the SDGs, the 17 SDGs from the UN, the Sustainable Development Goals that are now life-threatening, existential threatening, and we wouldn't let such horrendous missions on our kids. We can solve these things if we do have the right type of leadership. And when I'm saying leadership, quality leadership, It's about people who are long-term thinkers, who are empathic, who are good-hearted, who considers that in order to have a better future, we we need to also be role models. Together with social media and united through the internet, we also got a lot of noise. And this created connectivity between us and also a lot of disconnectivity because we became a little bit superficial in our relationship to humans, other humans, how we should behave. And also because the loud voices, and many times the loud voices are not the right role model voices we would want to emulate and copy and give it to our kids. Hey, this is an amazing leader. You should follow his, her footsteps and take example about how they are behaving. And we let common sense, we let morals, we let ethics to stay behind some maybe influencers who are louder, who know marketing, who understand persuasion, who understand how to do the things, who maybe have the money as well. And they just took advantage of this connectivity called internet today. And so one day, our world became a world where the leaders, so-called leaders, who we see all the time through the news, even mainstream media and around, are not exactly the type of humans we would love to lead humanity to the next stage of evolution, because they are focused just on pragmatic aspects, because they might just pursue their personal gains, even if it's very nicely wrapped as a gift about, yeah, I'm doing this for you, but behind the scenes, I'm just doing this for me, and that's it. And we all know this kind of things, but we became complacent, just allowing things to happen. Good people started to go silent. They don't like to raise their voices and get into conflicts because, conflicts by definition is usually not exactly the good-hearted, empathic type of people attribute. They like to, just forget it, just let it. We don't want that kind of conflict. And so this way, our world became disproportionate with just a small amount of number of bad leadership that creates a very questionable role model for the new generation. And we can see that because if we consult the graphs around mental health issues, about problems, and how the age of children who consider suicide even before COVID, but during and after, just increased, and the age decreased, it's absolutely horrendous. And there is a lot of confusion. Gen Zs and the new generation don't know exactly in what direction we are going. They see that the society is changing super rapidly. They see that climate impacts everything. They see adults who are fighting with each other, who are starting today, as we speak, wars on different stories that are not even true and have nothing to do with uniting a species as humans to become multiplanetary or solve those SDGs and just create an abundant future together. So when they see this, obviously that depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation just skyrockets because they don't see the adults behaving as they should, as wise adults who have their interests at heart. And so when I started Tech Leadership Lab, it was not about the SDGs necessarily. No, it was about global impact and true leadership. Even for many from Tech Leadership Lab, the community that grew, and now we are multiple members and some amazing ones here, and happy to see here Tris with us, and he's a core team member in TLL. It's it's something, a novelty, that it didn't start it with SDGs. At the beginning, it was a formation because it was not just like a well-drawn plan. Oh my God, I will create this global impact in this way. No, it was a constant preparation when I will start something that aligns with the values, the leadership I see the world, and the future I want to project for the kids. And it was about global impact and leadership. In my view, if we would use AI and technology to just filter all the leaders who are responsible for millions of lives, including governmental officials, including presidents who are elected, no one person should be able to get in the situation to be elected if it's a psychopath, sociopath, or has narcissistic tendencies that don't involve you. It involves just me and my needs, and I care less about what happens with you and the earth because I will die. And I don't care about other humans because I am not an empath and I give a damn. And we do have leaders like this today leading countries, leading huge enterprises, having budgets of billions, trillions. And this is basically the problem. And so from this idea, TLL was born. But very soon, through the ideation and talking with the people, because from the beginning I said, this is not my movement. I am the founder, but the movement is based on the people who will join TLL, Tech Leadership Lab, and will create a global structure, entity, think tank, action-oriented think tank that can have a say in a global governance and from a leadership perspective. And tech, because in my view, tech is related with everything that brings humanity forward. Tech is tech is agile. It's connected to the entrepreneurial spirit, everything that can be innovative and disruptive to bring new solutions to current problems. Entrepreneurs are those who connect our present to the future. They solve the problems that exist today and create something better for us. And so, because we need this kind of fast movement, in my way, it was everything related to technology. Because technology, the way we use energy today, it is basically our road to a better future. So, Tech Leadership Lab was born through this kind of joint juncture with the tagline Tech for Good, led by good hearts. And through this, you can understand exactly what the purpose is of Tech Leadership Lab. And then very soon, since this was just started by me, but other than that, the people who joined and were attracted to this mission became the voices of this movement, because it is a global movement. I just started to hear about the SDGs, the climate, and I just got those kind of messages that, you should focus on something maybe more specific. And so in a couple of weeks, I believe, because everything started with a newsletter and weekly lives. On Wednesday, as today, we had our newsletter and our weekly live. I was just hearing the same time of message, and after a couple of weeks, okay, the SDGs are the way to go. And if we want to solve the global aspects, the global problems and the existential threats for humanities are the SDGs. They were already defined. Eventually, I created 10 out of 17 because I could see combinations between them. But let's say that we use them just for the sake of understanding. 17 sustainable goals. And we identified, okay, what is the most urgent? We identified climate as the most urgent because it impacts all the SDGs. And if we don't have climate right, then we cannot be compatible with living on Earth. And since we cannot move to Mars tomorrow, we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the technology, we don't have many things, and we cannot just go underground, same thing, or underwater. It would be a good idea for us to solve climate on Earth that was now driven, data fact driven, and proven that it is a matter of human intervention on climate. That was not the case long time before, but now we do have the data for anyone who wants to study, anyone who wants to understand, anyone who can see the graphs, how it was before the Industrial Revolution, then how things started to decline, but it was okay-ish until the 1950s, the years when it says the grand acceleration started. So the human intervention around the climate just became huge, and that happened in the 50s. And since then, all the graphs are just like going this. And that is super connected with human intervention around the environment, around the ecosystem. And so if you study a little bit this and you see the connection, okay, we need to do something about this, because we cannot go over a certain border, over a certain emission level that will just rise the temperature too much, where you trigger the trigger point, the tipping point in climate. And the tipping point is something negative when it comes to climate change, because it means that no turning point where you cannot do anything anymore. We are not there. We have technology, we have good people, we have solutions, but they are not united, because we are still divisive because of the leadership that divides us and makes us think that if you have a different color, a different age, a different ethnicity, and you live somewhere else on this globe, then you must be stupider than me or below me or whatever, or the opposite. Because you are living in the Silicon Valley and you have openness to all of this technology and so on, you think you are entitled to everything. Or, oh, poor me, I don't have what you have, and I will hate you because of that, because there is so much inequality on this world, and it is. And life is not fair, the world is not fair. And because of that, we have all of this division that is led by leaders who love this, because if you divide people, what can you do better? Rule over them. Because people who are fighting with each other, they have no time to think, because they are very down on Maslow's pyramid, where you are fighting for your survival. When you are hungry, when you don't have your basic needs met, the last thing on your mind will be to be good with your neighbor, with other countries, to see the good things that unite us as humans, as the same species, and think about the climate and what will come tomorrow. If you don't know if you will survive the next week, how to think about what you can do about the climate? You don't have the right type of education. You don't have the connection to AI. You don't have the infrastructure. You don't have the right type of government. You are so different from other countries that are maybe much further than you. So how can we create something in a united way that even if we have different stories, we can see the future collectively as the same species? So this became a mission of Tech Leadership Lab. And we decided as a group at the end of December, at the end of December, that we should create a global summit. And we were thinking about this, and it happened in March, so just 2 weeks before, and we had 6 weeks to prepare it. Before that, we were thinking what kind of bigger event to happen, because Tech Leadership Lab started with weekly events and weekly gatherings, and then listening to the voices and creating community on WhatsApp, and just moving on and creating this type of movement where people align on the same type of message. And I'm glad to have here Driss and Danielle, part of the core team, who were very close on creating everything that happened. And so the first summit was set up at the beginning of this year, the intersection of climate, AI, and humanity. And we didn't want it to be labeled as a climate entity. That was one of the fears, how to do this, amplifying the SDGs, solving the SDGs, but still we want to focus on what's most urgent. So we created a comprehensive 3-day summit with 6 panels, 2 panels every day, around the intersection of climate, as it was identified as the existential threat and most urgent one that needs to be tackled. And it's united to everything. If you have issues with climate, you will have poverty in different parts of the world, and you won't have crops in different parts of the world. And if you don't have climate in order, you don't have the infrastructure, including the agriculture aspect, to have food on the table. And the educational aspect, again, it is so connected to climate, and we can discuss inequality, everything step by step, that even if it's not a direct correlation from the other SDGs to climate impacts all the SDGs. Because if we have a mass migration, just if we take this, and this is part of the climate adaptation and resiliency segment, and if you are not adapted, we will just find ourselves with 1 billion of migrants, climate migrants from all spectrums of life, from all parts of the world, coastal or desertified parts where there is no rain anymore, and they will start to move. And again, if people start to move in big numbers, no one country can integrate so many newcomers who might have different ideologies and cultures and religions, and they are on a different structure and level in their education, and so they might understand some things from the new country they entered or not. But for sure, if you are hungry and you don't have shelter, the basic aspects from Maslow's pyramid, what will you do? You will enter in that kind of desperation mindset where you will do whatever it takes in order to survive, because nothing is more precious than life, right? And when you are very hungry, you will feel indulged to hurt some other people, even kill them, enter on in their houses just in order to take something to eat, you or for your kids or for your family. These are basic human instincts, animal instincts, part of the human evolution that you need to consider. So we are connected. You cannot be in a country today where you are completely protected with what will happen tomorrow. You cannot think that if you have all the money in the world, you're not affected. No, no, you will be barricaded very much, and you will fear every second of your life, because everyone will want your money to protect themselves and their families. And it's not a world worth living where fear is the big ruler and everyone just hates each other, or they are like animals on resources or money, or running away for their lives. And so enough with the doom and gloom, because Tech Leadership Lab is also about TLL-ish stuff. We have this saying TLL-ish, be TLL-ish, do something cool about solving the climate or the any of the SDGs. And we need stories. We need to show that there are solutions. And the team and I, TLL team and I, while we became more and more acknowledged and let's say mini experts around these topics, we realized how little things we knew before and how many things exist. And I'm saying this in a good sense, because I knew that there are solutions. I mean, I have a routine every day, at least 3 hours a day. I'm learning. So it can be anything from books, articles, research, YouTube, podcasts, but I'm learning, and that's one of the highlights of my days. I love that. I just love it. So even with this rigor for so many years now, and with the polymath aspect of my being, I didn't know so many things around the climate. And eventually I said, okay, there are enough solutions, but we still need to invent, we innovate, and so on. Yes, we need to, but to connect the dots, to connect ourselves to the grid, there is the need for innovation, and to scale and amplify the solutions that are already out there in a way that we can collect all the energy that our planet has to offer before moving to the sun energy. And I'm not talking about the green panels here, because those are part of what we can cultivate here on Earth. So it is part of the energy this Earth has to offer. Same with the wind, the turbines, the thermal energy, and multiple other little innovations that exist in every country. And they truly exist. We have innovators, we have bright people that created solutions to have free energy, clean energy everywhere based on their circumstances. So we can produce enough clean energy today and reduce those CO2s enough if we connect all these technologies together in an infrastructure that is efficient enough. If governments align and policies align for this and do this in a speedier fashion, I think that we have a real option here. The good news is that there are so many people working on this. There are so many DLLs out there. There are so many organizations, innovators, startups, people, and even policymakers who start to be open to these ideas. Some based on fear, but some just because they wanted to solve a solutions like an entrepreneur does, right? And so TLR today, it's after the first summit. That was a huge success. We had 32 international experts, speakers, policymakers, AI experts. So we had through the panels discussions from which we created a consensus document, a final version, an initial final version will come up next week. And then we will have multiple versions for different, let's say, stakeholders for different messaging. But it's a start for a global movement that impacts people wherever they are, where we bring together the right type of leaders, because I consider everyone a leader who comes and joins this movement in a way that they come in the open, they say, hey, I have this technology, we can do this together, let's do it. And they are up for the game. Those are leaders, and they can be climate experts, they can be any other SDG experts, they can be policymakers, they can be researchers, they can be volunteers, they can be activists, of course. And together, if we unite as many voices that can create impact, and we create that type of pressure globally over the policymakers and decision makers, we can solve things. Because how much time we need to create change in the world? Does anyone know? But if we study a little bit of history and evolutionary psychology, do we know why and how changes occurred? Many times we cannot explain how things happened in the past. Not even why the fascist movement from Germany took place, because there were multiple other kind of movements. And this happened with empires in the past as well. It happens with technology. You just don't know. Multiple people are working on the same thing, but one of them will nail it one day, and they become the nation who had that type of inventor. And so because of that, that nation will be highly rewarded and will have all the benefits and gains, even if another scientist just 1 week after invents the same thing, but without knowing it with each other. And so I'm talking about inequality and fairness here, but once you start to see that it doesn't matter from where it comes, because to tackle climate and the SDGs, we cannot think locally. And because we had a very nice live today, it was, and the message was that, yes, we need to adjust locally, but think and unite globally. So I believe that there is solutions we cannot see right now, but there are stories that we can align on, and together with the solutions integrated in the stories, that most of the people on this earth can see us through, can rely on, believe, like a new religion. Why not create a new religion where, I'm just using the metaphor of religion because beliefs are very, very important in what moves us and makes us tick and take action. Beliefs and values are super important. If we can align on a story that integrates most of our important values and beliefs in that type of story, and we can inspire most of the global population, and that is the future and the direction for us to go, then I think we have a chance. And we can keep our particularities, our traditions, our beautiful local aspects that make us feel like we belong in a place. And those are amazing things. But in the same time, to appreciate our unity as part of the same species, that we survived because we have this adaptability and we have this skill to ability to connect to a wide number of people like other species don't. And this is one of the recipes for our success today, and why other species didn't evolve or died, and why we did. And so I think this is a great lesson, and this is the mission of Tech Leadership Lab, where we want to identify how we can think globally. And once we identify the options that exist, and this becomes more and more the easiest part, how we can find the commonalities to unite different parts of the world, legislators, policymakers, and have those type of leaders on top of things that can see, yes, I agree with this, through a consensus, because consensus is a powerful word. It means that you realize that for the good of all, you need to let go of some things, but everyone will benefit. And so for that consensus, I agree to do my part because we are in this together. And this is one of the main aspects and taglines we use. We are in this together. And this occupies my entire time, as you can imagine. And this is a long-term project. And Tech Leadership Lab right now is many things. It's an undefined living entity that evolves based on the people who become part, and especially reliable and active part of this movement that wants to bring the best for this world, save humanity, but save it in a way that we can have abundance and happiness and evolution. We can evolve as a species. This is my concern, one of the personal concerns. I don't want us to dumbify ourselves because of wrong role models or just taking parts of the truth. I want us to be educated enough in order to feel that no matter where you are right now in this world, and you might see this replay maybe in 1 year, maybe you will see tomorrow, maybe you will see it at the end of 2024, 2030. It's one of the good things of YouTube, because things stay here like in a library, and it's part of my legacy, and my daughter will see it the same way. It will be part of who was her mother, and my grandkids the same way. So this is how I see this type of messages, that they are part of an ideology, but an ideology that can become reality, where no matter where you are on this world, I see you as part of my species. I mean, you are part of my family of humans. And yes, there is a hierarchy. Some are more evolved than others, but in the end, if we think globally and we think about the SDGs, we cannot think locally anymore. We can only think united. And there are solutions. And I think we can find those ways together with the technology and AI, especially if we build it properly, that will have all the data around our past and humanity and history and today in a way that will bring us very, very good solutions that we can apply and thrive. And with that said, what will I do with these channels? Obviously, I don't want to shut down my channels. This is my personal channel here on YouTube, and I also shared it on Facebook, so you will see this on Facebook as well, on my Facebook page. And the messages I'm sharing, and then everything that we collectively are doing inside Tech Leadership Lab, would want to spread them around. And we'll think about ways where I can become also personal, but just please go and search for Tech Leadership Lab first on LinkedIn. Subscribe to our LinkedIn page. Go to our website, it's techleadershiplab.org. We have a Facebook page that's not yet active. We have an Instagram as well, but let's say the two most precious channels at the moment are the LinkedIn and here on YouTube. Search for Tech Leadership Lab, subscribe, check the videos, check all the replays from the summit, include your voice there, comment, and see how you want things to be improved. If you feel you resonate with the message, please get in touch, especially if you are an A player doer. I want to talk with you personally to see how we can move the needle sooner. And I do my best to come on this channel as many times as I can, but at least I will share things from the Tech Leadership Labs channel. So please be there, also accustomed. And thank you for being with me, at least Daniel and Dries. I appreciate this. And those who are watching this also from the Facebook, or they will watch and on my YouTube for sure. There will be more and more moving further. And yeah, I will keep the channel open, Danielle. I will keep it, of course, because it's a life mission, though. I put a lot of work in this channel, time to time, posting it. And I see this, as a library for those who are coming after me when I'm not here. Everything I put out there in the open is basically part of me. And I consider it is my message to the world when I'm not here, especially my kid and everyone who comes and wants to role model me. And the same way we should also consider, and this is what we also do with Tech Leadership Lab, correct? With Tech Leadership Lab, we want to highlight and amplify the right type of voices. We have so amazing speakers. Go on our website, check the summit replays. You will see that in every panel, we had voices, oh my God, just today, Richard and Divya, what we discussed about gender inequality and agriculture and how to solve the SDGs and biomimicry. I mean, it was such a blessing, such an important discussion, and it opens up the ways we can collaborate and connect. And yeah, it will be complementary to TLL. Yes, this channel could be as well, but it will move on. I mean, as long as I'm alive, I will continue to post here as well. So I hope I managed to update you with what's happening in my life, why I'm not present anymore in my personal channels, let's say, and why my focus is on Tech Leadership Lab. And because this is huge enough to consume my energy and time. And I encourage everyone to, if you feel that resonate, come on such missions, because we are not so many in this regard. I said that there are many good people and role models, and that is very, very true. What I mean when I say we are not that many is that not many people seem to have that kind of long-term capacity to focus on the wellness of other humans and on humanity as a whole, because most of us, we are just focused on our lives or our own careers or what we can do for our benefits in a short amount of time. And fewer are those who, when they create a summit or they have that kind of emergency mindset, they truly focus on what can benefit us as humanity. And if I talk from my perspective, when people are asking me, and oh my God, you could have had more time. We wanted to make a stand 6 weeks to create a global summit at that professional level. We did. I mean, it was done as a professional summit. Others are preparing for 1 year with budget. We did that without and with volunteers. That was a testament that climate cannot change, that it cannot wait, that there are some things that cannot just wait weekends and next budget or fiscal years or holidays. There are people who need to unite and solve things urgently. And it was very tough. I must tell you, it was a very hard trial for the entire team, for everything that TLR represents. But it was necessary for the message that it is possible. But during the process, I also noticed that people were saying that, oh, you could have done that in more time, to prepare more, to bring in a budget, and so on and so forth. And yes, that is true. But I truly feel the emergency of time, of action. Because if these things that are still just a small amount of what we need to do in the world take so much time, we don't have that time to move the needle. We have to do it today. And I realized that sometimes it was like talking alone, that people don't truly feel connected to that. We don't have much time to tackle these things. And so, yeah, let's say that is one of my biggest challenges I need to overcome on a daily basis. And that I don't find too many people resonating with this things and this type of way. But I'm sure that if there are, most of them will get in touch and will be part, or if they are part of TLL, and we will move that needle, because I won't give up. And this is just the beginning. So waiting for you, and spread the word, because we can impact more if people know that we exist, and that there is a movement that everyone can benefit, and it's here for the right reasons. And with that said, see you on Tech Leadership Lab channels here, sometimes in the future. But just keep connected, keep moving, be optimist, be nice, treasure the good human values, just be empathic, care about other people, want the good for the children, and encourage good leadership around the world to become viral. I want good leaders going viral on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on everywhere. I just want to see those leaders viral everywhere, because this will speed up the process. Yes, and with that, I wish you all the best in this world, and just keep moving in the right direction, because humanity can have a bright future. I truly believe this.